How did you get into Queensland across the border when it's closed to Victorians?
He's the heir to the Linfox billions who's found a back door into sunny Queensland.
I'm allowed to reside here. It's completely official.
Tonight we uncover how Linfox boss Peter Fox moved his family from Melbourne to the Gold Coast with the border closed.
Exposing them to Victoria right now, I would not be healthy and safe.
That is just so unfair. It's ridiculous.
Palm Beach on the Gold Coast is a magic spot all year round, but this week, in the middle of winter, the mercury topped 25 degrees. After a joint investigation between A Current Affair and The Age newspaper, we discovered Peter Fox and his family enjoying that winter sunshine. A late afternoon swim for Peter, a lunchtime beer in a cafe for wife Lisa, and sweating it out together in a personal training session by the beach, with not a face mask in sight. It must feel about as close as Mars for Melbourne residents as they shiver through a winter lockdown with 1 hour of daily exercise and an 8 p.m. curfew. So, how did they do it? For the past 27 years, Peter Fox has run the Linfox empire, founded by his father Lindsay, who amassed a $3 billion fortune.
Safety's an important issue.
Peter usually calls Melbourne home, living in this two-rack mansion valued at around $30 million. But it's now undergoing a major renovation, and the Foxes have cleared out. The father of three moving his family 1,700 kilometres away to this multi-million-dollar mansion on Palm Beach, owned by MotoGP legend Mick Doohan. That wouldn't normally be a concern, except the Queensland border has been closed to Victorians since March.
G'day, Peter. Dan Nolan from A Current Affair. How you going?
We caught up with Peter Fox yesterday after stepping out from his beachfront residence for a swim.
How did you get into Queensland across the border when it's closed to Victorians? Did you get an exemption? You did get an exemption? On what grounds were you granted an exemption?
Initially reluctant to explain, we did eventually get the answers.
How do you think the rest of your fellow Victorians would feel about this?
I'm off to work now, my friend. Camden Road, Wollongong. I'm in the middle of building a warehouse there. I'm about to head there now myself.
And so what were the grounds for your exemption?
I come up here in a truck.
I
bought a truck down from Cairns.
So you still drive trucks?
Absolutely I do.
Linfox owns 2 airports, a Grand Prix circuit, and employs 24,000 people across 12 countries. But the man in charge of all that claims he still has time to drive big rigs.
You're still driving trucks?
Absolutely I am. Absolutely I am. Show your logbooks to prove it.
And you're moving freight interstate?
Yeah, absolutely we are, across the country.
You as the CEO?
Chairman of the organisation.
Chairman of the organisation?
Absolutely I am.
Wouldn't you have more important things to do than drive trucks?
I have plenty of important things to do. But I'm legitimately an Australian. I've got a residence here in Queensland for now.
Truck drivers moving freight interstate are one of the categories of Queensland border exemptions, ensuring the entire country doesn't run out of food. But that doesn't explain how the rest of Peter Fox's family were also able to move north.
And what about your wife and kids?
Yeah, they're here.
So what was their exemption?
Well, they're to be here with me. I now reside here. I'm now a Queensland resident.
Since what date?
Since the 1st of July.
So you've got an exemption to move out of Victoria and move into Queensland?
I have a lease on this residence and have done since the 1st of July. I now have a Queensland licence.
To give you an idea of what was happening around July 1, the day before was when the Victorian Premier announced the first lockdowns of Melbourne's second wave. 10 postcodes shut down, covering 36 suburbs. At that point, Toorak was in the clear.
If we don't take these steps now, we will finish up in a situation of, rather than locking down 10 postcodes, we will be locking down every postcode.
On the same day, Queensland's Premier and Health Minister announced the border to New South Wales would soon reopen, but definitely not to Victorians.
The border with Victoria will remain closed and will be strengthened.
Our message to Victorians is please do not come here.
5 days ago, Queensland police detectives came knocking on the door of Peter Fox's Gold Coast home, questioning how a family from Melbourne were able to move to Queensland during this pandemic. 2 days later, they cleared the Fox family of any wrongdoing.
Sure. I've had police interrogate the thing. It's not an issue.
But how do you think
you.
your fellow Victorians would feel about you being able to get that exemption?
I'm safe, okay? I'm healthy, I'm safe, my family is healthy and safe. Exposing them to Victoria right now, I would not be healthy and safe.
On the drizzly streets of Melbourne this morning, even face masks couldn't hide the anger.
Oh, mate, that's just wrong. So wrong.
Some people just are able to get around the law and the legislation, aren't they? Others don't have that luxury.
It's the latest COVID exemption raising questions about Queensland's system after pop star Danny Minogue avoided hotel quarantine after flying in from overseas. Late today, Queensland Health revealed Peter Fox had never applied for an exemption from them.
Well, it's obviously a loophole which the Palaszczuk government needs to fix straight away.
Tim Mander is Queensland's Deputy Opposition Leader.
Anastasia Palaszczuk needs to explain how a billionaire trucking mogul can get an exemption to come into this state.
I'm in a safe place here right now. I'm managing the affairs of our family business from here.
And
is that okay?
That's very good for
Okay,
you, but
thank
how
you.
do you think the rest of Victorians would feel about that?
I'm safe, okay? I'm safe.
I think they'd want to be safe too.
And we intend to get answers from the Queensland Government about how this was allowed to happen and find out if other truckies can do the same thing.